Welcome to Stitch with Leslie. My name is Leslie, and this is my first official FlossTube video, so come along with me. I want to take a minute to introduce myself. I am 44 years old. I'm going to be turning 45 in March, and I have some exciting plans for that, some stitchy plans that I'll share when I do my 2026 plans. I cross-stitched as a teenager, and I even remember my first boyfriend ever sitting down and teaching his little sister how to cross stitch because she was tying knots on the back of her work and she was getting really frustrated with having to stick her needle through and hitting a knot. And so I taught her how to start and stop and do a loop method and all that. Well, college and life happened, and this last year I picked it up again. So I work in education, and this last year was probably the hardest year I've ever had in my life. Just about a year ago, I got the news that there was something wrong on my mammogram. And so I went in for subsequent mammograms, biopsies, and on December 12th of 2024, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And that led to 2025 being 3 lumpectomies that led to a double mastectomy because they just kept finding more cancer. And then I just did reconstruction surgery a little over a week ago. So I put on, you can't tell, but I put on makeup to try to look a little bit more alive. But what happened is I'm a quilter. I love quilting. But when I was recovering from my double mastectomy surgery, I was having a lot of extra fluid, and I was trying to quilt because I was home and I was bored, and what do you do? And so I was quilting and it was just causing problems, and so I had to stop completely. But I can't not do something creative in my life, and so I picked up a cross stitch pattern and a kit, and I was off to the races. I found FlossTube, and I follow favorite designers now. I'm in a ton of Facebook groups, and it is now my new obsession. I love that I can watch television and sit and cross stitch. I love that you can just do a little bit, or you could do a lot. Like, every stitch makes a difference. So because I have been watching FlossTube so much, I thought, I want to share what I'm doing. I want to share what I'm working on. I love watching everybody else's FlossTube. So I hope you like what I'm working on, and thank you for coming along with me for this journey. So the first thing I want to do is talk about finishes, which I'm glad I have some. So the first pattern I picked up from a local, it was actually a quilt shop here. I live in Utah, and it is Queen Bee by Robin Pickens. This was done on a 14 count Aida Natural, and it uses Cosmo floss. And I started it on July 9th and I finished it on July 12th. I just loved it. I thought it was so beautiful. And I really loved working with the Cosmo floss, so much so that I now try to stitch with Cosmo if I can. So I will do like floss conversions. So this was my first one. And then I immediately wanted to do another. So I picked up Good in the World by Sandra Workman of Pine Mountain Designs. So I started this on the 12th, finished it on the 18th of July, and this is, I decided to use the same as this. So I had started on the bottom, and I had all this extra fabric, and I think it's because in this pattern she gives you another pattern for like a worker bee, so you could do some worker bees, but I wanted to do this. So yes, July, my first 2 finishes, and I was hooked. I didn't want to stop after that. So I need to finish these. I'm a little nervous to do my first finishing. I've watched videos. I have boards already. I need to paint them. So I know how I want to mount them, and I've decided I want to do an entire wall of bees. So these two will go on the wall. So when I get those fully finished or FFO'd, I'll share those. So then I went and picked up another Robin Pickens pattern because it was just nice that it was a kit and I could do it. And so I picked up Stitch Lovely because I am a quilter at heart, although I'm becoming a cross stitcher at heart too. And so I love these like vintage sewing machines and the sewing machine pattern. I just thought this was so pretty. And so I started this on the 16th of July and I finished it on the 28th of July. And so I just stitched and stitched and stitched until this was done. So that was my third finish. And so at that point I was looking for more kits. I was looking for more things that I could do. I had started watching FlossTube and I was in. So I found these kits at Fat Corner Shop. There are sayings of the seasons from Stitching with the Housewives. And so this was the next thing I sort of picked up as like a kit, but this is my, sorry, my neck hurts. This is my fourth finish. So I started this on September 5th and I finished it on October 26th. So just this last month. And so I started with Autumn, sayings of the season. And so you can see it says, leaves are falling, autumn is calling. Oh, I hope you can see that okay. I'm not used to filming this way. So this was done on a 28 count black Monoco and it was part of the kit. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Not the pattern, not the design. Let me be clear. I loved this. I love it. I think it's so cute. I have a board for it and everything. But black Monoco, it is not my jam. It is so hard for me to stitch. I don't know if it's because it's so stiff. I tried softening it up. I tried getting it wet. But these are done with Classic Colorworks, and so I couldn't really get it wet around the stitching. I found it hard sometimes for my needle to go through. I tried different size needles. So I will not be doing the next 3 seasons on black Monoco. When I do winter, spring, summer, I'm going to do them on a black Lugana. So my plan is to finish this on a board. I'll mount it. The kit came with backing fabric that I'll use. And then I'll put magnets on the back the way Priscilla and Chelsea teach us to do and use that same board for all 4 seasons and just change out my magnets. I really like decorating seasonally. Well, I like the idea of decorating seasonally. I've never done it regularly. And so a lot of my cross stitches you'll see are seasonal because that's the way I like to decorate. So in October, I started tracking my stitches. Now I had been using Markup RXP and then I was rearranging apps on my iPad and I deleted my markup. And so I don't have any record of my stitching from when I started until the first few patterns. I just used the pattern. But when I started using markup in September until October 12th, I don't have any stats, which makes me really sad because I know I've done more stitching than this. But I thought I would give you my monthly summary. So for the month of October, I had 9,519 stitches. And from October 13th to the 31st, when I started tracking my stitches, I stitched 12 of those days. The only day I didn't stitch was the day I had my reconstruction surgery on the 27th. So in the month of October, I have this great spreadsheet that I'm using. I started 3 new projects. I finished a project. I finished the autumn harvest, and I worked on 14 different WIPs. So you can see I very quickly started gathering projects to work on. So I wanted to go through my WIPs with you. And this will kind of serve as like a starting point for FlossTube. Even though a lot of these have stitches in them, this will be like 0, and then I can share my progress from month to month. So I'm going to cut in between these just so that you don't have to watch me open bags and things like that. I also don't iron my pieces while I'm working on them. I want to make sure if I've done any markings, I'm using friction heat erasable pens to do that those stay. So they're going to be wrinkled, and that's okay. That's real life, right? So then I picked up this Robin Pickens kit, Super Bloom Bouquet. It comes with this same fabric so you can mount it. And I thought this would be a great spring cross stitch to hang up. And this is where I am. It is stitched on a 14 count Aida Natural, and I started on July 26th. Because I lost all my stitching in that, I don't have my progress percentage because I haven't stitched on it for a while. But once I go to pick it up and stitch on it again, I will remark my stitches in markup, and then I'll know exactly how many stitches and what progress I have on that for completion. And it was done using all Cosmo floss that came with the kit. So my next project is called, well, I call it Winter Quaker Sampler. It's by Happy Mood Point Cross Stitch Studio, because I immediately fell in love with Quakers, and I thought, oh, I could make this for Christmas. Oh, what a fool I am to think that I could make this for Christmas. It has 30,354 stitches. And I decided to stitch it on a 14 count white opalescent Aida. So there's a huge piece of fabric, but here's where I'm at. I think I need to back up here. Yeah, it's huge. Oh, it's upside down as well. How's that? So it's super pretty. I decided to grid the fabric because I was making too many mistakes in counting. But you'll never know. You'll never see them, especially once it's hanging on my wall and it's far away. So for this, I'm using Classic Colorworks. So Granny Annie is the color I'm using, and it's this great blue variegated. So when I first started, I was trying to do 2 strands of floss a day on this. And then in October, I started playing Stitchy games, and I'm going to talk about those Stitchy games after I'm done with all my WIPs. And so it is now part of a Stitchy game. And so I don't work on it every day because I have so many other things I want to work on. Okay, so on August 9th, I started Home is Where the Wreath Is by Stitching with the Housewives. I think Priscilla designed this one. And I just love the idea of switching this out monthly. So it comes with a wreath for the first pattern, but I just love the idea of stitching that out monthly. And so I decided to do it on a 16 count black Aida, a chalkboard Aida, rather than the black Monoco, because it was out of stock, which I'm so glad that I couldn't get it. And I wanted it 16 count, even though it calls for 14 count, because I wanted it to be a little bit smaller in the board that I found. So here I am with the H. You wouldn't know it, but this is a lot of stitches. It is 1,374, and I still don't have my H done. That's a lot more than I thought it was going to be. Let's just say that. So I went around and did a half stitch to outline the whole shape. And now this is something that I can try to pick up and do when I'm watching television. So the original plan was, oh, I'll hurry and stitch up the HOME, and then every month I'll work on the other wreath swaps. So she has 3 others. So let me do them in order. Wreath swap 1 has January, February, March, April, May, and June. Then she has wreath swap 2, which has the rest of the months of the year, August, September, October, November, or July, August, September through December. And then she has these special occasions, which I thought could be really fun when I have people over, or because I work in education, she has a school one that I think I like better than one of the fall ones. And so that would give me some variety there. And like, I think like the happy birthday one I really liked. So that's the plan. I just think it's going to take longer than I thought it was going to take. So my next cross stitch pattern was a kit from Fat Quarter Shop. It's called Lovely Ladybugs. Oh, that light is weird. It's just from my window here. It was a really cute kit. It came in this super cute bag that matches the pattern and a needle minder. So I love all of those things. It didn't come with the floss, I don't think, because I did a color conversion for the floss to, oh no, I didn't. It didn't. Sorry. It did come with the floss because I'm using DMC floss for this one. Yeah. So I started this on August 13th. Let me get it the right way. And it is currently at 1,929 stitches and 27% complete. But I think that is, no, that's probably about right. The border's pretty big. But sometimes markup XP on these printed patterns I've noticed from Stitching with the Housewives, Fat Quarter Shop, Lori Holt, it has a hard time identifying the stitches. And so it might be counting the entire area. So it might be further than 27%, but just don't know yet. So on August 17th, I started Hello Dear from Caterpillar Cross Stitch. It is part of a series that they have of trees. So this one is winter. They have a spring, summer, fall. And this year for their Christmas mystery so long, they are doing a Christmas version. So I'll be buying that, but not until after I get these done. So I decided to do these on a 14 count even weave. But it says even weave, but it's Aida. It's a 14 count Aida, and it's Malted Milk. It's by Lori Holt. So here's where I'm at. I just think it's so cute, these little critters. So I'm starting, oh, I forgot my board. I'm starting to work on the rabbit here. You can see the rabbit with the long ears. So cute, so cute. So I quite naively thought on August 17th, oh, I should be able to get this done by Christmas. Because in my mind, you have fall, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, winter. But, you know, not there yet. So it looks like I have 2,141 stitches and I'm at 22%. So I also did this is the first time I did a DMC to Cosmo floss conversion. And so what I do is I keep a master set of keep a master set of Cosmo floss on floss drops, and then I just have, that's like a freebie. Let me skip. Okay, I guess I have to, it's the sun. So I just got some scrapbook paper, laminated them, punched holes, and then I write the Cosmo color and I use it. So I just make my own floss drops because I've noticed that a lot of designers are drawn to the same colors. And so this way I can keep a master set and then I have these inside projects. Because I do like to pull one strand at a time. I'm one of those people. So the next project I started on August 16th is also from Caterpillar Cross Stitch. It is called Touch of Magic. Oh, and this is what it's supposed to look like when it's all done. I just love these bright colors, and I thought it was super fun. So I'm doing this on a 14 count Aida, Gray Small Cobwebs by Fabric Flair. So I love how you can see the cobwebs. And one thing that I noticed right away is I think my gray fabric is lighter than the one that they chose. And so I actually decided to backstitch the white letters. So what you can't see is I actually have moon completely stitched in. Maybe if I do this, yeah, you can sort of see it. And so I'll need to add, you know, the cross stitch shading, and then I'll go back and backstitch it all so that I think it stands out a little bit better. You can definitely see it up close. So I think that might be the lighting or the camera or the sun, but yeah, super cute. And so once I realized that white is going to be harder to see, I started doing some color conversions on this. So let's see if I can hold this up so you can see it. So you'll notice bright here is in white, and I decided to do it in orange so it matched the back stitch here. And then the moon and the star are white, and I decided to make it yellow. And so I'm going to make the moon, instead of white and a pale yellow, I'm going to make it a deeper yellow and a lighter yellow. So, and then as I'm looking through here, there are white letters above each of these. And so instead of saying like Wicked Witch with wicked in white, I'm going to change it to one of these two colors. So Cast a Spooky Spell, so that they look like they go together. Black Cat Season, I'm probably going to do this in like a darker gray. So as I'm working down here, I'm going to be doing color conversions in the chart to make it a little bit easier to see when it's done. But I fell in love with that spider fabric, and so, you know, I learned a lot from that project about choosing the right fabric for your project, even if you love it. Or, you know, just do a color conversion. So in August, a friend came to visit me, and I wanted to check out a cross stitch shop that I'd heard about, not knowing that they're like sort of legendary, I guess. And that's Shepherd's Bush in Ogden, Utah. And so we ventured up there, and I'm telling you, that store is like a cross stitcher's heaven. There is so much. And what I love is that they have so much on the walls already stitched so that you can actually like see what things look like, which is something that I like to see. I like to see how big it is. I like to see what those colors actually look like in real life, because as like even now, the lighting today is going to change the way these things look. So while I was there, I picked up Heart and Hands Mementos of the Heart, and I really wanted to do the kindness round. Here's a better picture of it. So I picked up my threads. It was nice to have like this wide selection of threads. I just chose the called for. And I'm doing this on like a 14 count Aida, and I threw away the packaging. I'm going to call this Dusky Pink. But here she is. Let's see. Let me look at my stitches. So I'm at 1,059 stitches, and I'm 44%. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. And I'm sure these are reprints of other, because she does a collector's heart every year. And so there's reprints of her collector's hearts, and I'm sure I'm going to end up doing a lot of them because I've already bought others. So you can see it has 2002, 6, 8, 10, 11, and 13. So love that. So my next cross stitch I started on October 3rd, and it came from Just Cross Stitch's Halloween magazine, the 2025, and it is this one right here. Let's see, there's another picture right here. I can't show you closer because you'll see the pattern, but I just thought that was such a great Halloween pattern, and bright and witchy but not scary. I'm really not into scary things. And I did do a Cosmo floss conversion here, but there is no replacement for 154 DMC, which is grape, very dark. And I've actually ended up using it in a lot of patterns. So that's one that I know that I have to use. So this has 4,227 stitches in it. I thought, oh, that's only 65 by 65. I can finish that. Oh, how naive I was. So I actually started this on a 25 count Lugana. This is my first time trying a Lugana. So, oops, here it is. And I wasn't happy with the white peeking through. So I decided to switch and start it on a 25 count black Lugana. Sorry, let me refold this. I had it folded because this is also, I decided to try cross country or parking my threads. So, and I did stitch all of this black in. So currently with this version, I have 2,237 stitches and I'm 53% done. So it's a little bit better, but you can still kind of see the black. So one thing I learned is that Cosmo Floss, I think the reason why I love Cosmo Floss is that it is a little bit silky and it like glides through so much easier than the DMC. I really noticed a difference when I started using it. However, it's because it is finer. And I've decided that after looking at this, after restarting it, the 14 counts or 28 count or 25 count Lugana, I really need to use 3 strands just to get the coverage that I was hoping for. So then I discovered Primrose Cottage, which is crazy because they're based in St. George. My parents live in St. George. They just opened a shop, which I haven't been down there to see it yet, but I will at Thanksgiving. And I got on their mailing list, and they do a free cross-stitch pattern every month. On the first Friday of every month, they send it out. They call it Free Stitch Friday. And this was the first one that I ever got. Sweetly Saying. I got it in August because, I love bees. So I started on August 27th, and it looks like I have 1,532 stitches. It's 81% complete, and it's on 14 count white Aida, and it's stitched with Weeks, Dye Works, and DMC. I bought the kit that they offered. So all I have left to do is the darkest color, and then, let me use my board. This print isn't very good. My printer needed new ink, but so I just have this bees left, and then you can see like all the black sections that I need to do to add in, and like there's black up there too, and all the little bees wings, and then I think I have a few stitches in here, yeah, that I need to do, but not bad, and I'm gonna get it done. I did want to get it done sooner. I had a goal to get it done by the end of September or October, but I got distracted. I started new things. So then, of course, I needed to start another, sorry, I'm looking at my spreadsheet, another Primrose Cottage. So I went right to Honeybee Quaker because I could use a lot of the same colors. So even though I have all the colors, like I'm trying to use those same colors that were offered there. And so I'm doing this on a 25 count Wagana in cloud. Oh, it's so pretty. So I didn't do this. I hadn't learned my lesson yet about doing 3 stitches or using 3 threads. Oh, wait. So this is still 2 stitches, but I think it's going to be okay. And I think it's partly because it has so much white space, but on a full coverage, you probably do need to use 3 strands of floss when you're using Cosmo, but oh, so pretty. So I do want to do all of the Quaker pillows. They're seasonal, and so it's something that I can bring out. So this, I am going to finish this as a pillow and put it out, and it's going to be super cute. On September 4th, I started Sweetheart Ornaments by the Fat Quarter Shop. I love these. I have this vision of having this like bunting on this bookshelf that I have my television sitting on. So super cute. And I did do a Cosmo color conversion for it. It calls for Classic Colorworks, and for something so small, I feel like when you're using Classic Colorworks and Weeks Dye Works and those over dyed flosses, you really should do 2 strands at a time and stitch it so that you get the color variegation. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do a loop start. So I have 8 ornaments done. 9 ornaments done, and I decided to do this on 14 count opalescent pink Aida from DMC Charles Craft that you can just buy at Michael's. So they're just cute little ornaments, and I bought the baking tins and rounds to finish these on. So really the goal is to have this up for Valentine's. So I just have 3 left, and they'll have this aqua background. Oh, they're super cute, but I'm always surprised that there are like so many stitches. There's 600 stitches in each of them. So, but I'm using this for one of my Stitchy games, and the person that I'm using it for has won a lot, and so it will be finished once I catch up with my Stitchy games. Okay, on September 25th, I fell in love and found, well, I'd been eyeing this for a while, but you know. But I started Tiny Modernist the Tarot for Stitchers. I just think it's so cute. Like instead of the Fool, it's the Seeker, and it's a little quilter or stitcher, you know. I love that Strength is a quilt. So even though like this isn't cross stitch specific, there are so many great quilting references that I just love. Yeah, so great. So this is a giant piece. I'm doing it on 32 count Stormy Night Lugana. Oh, it's so big. It's so big. So this is something that I will be working on for a long time. But here's where I'm at. I'm just doing the border right now. So 1,455 stitches, I'm 14% done. So this is just the border pattern, not the actual cards, but I am going to do it in this layout. So I'm just working on this and then the outer borders. And I'll probably stitch the inner borders of the cards, because once I have those stitched, then I can go in and do whichever one is speaking to me at the time. So I did do a Cosmo conversion for this. And the other night I was watching Hidden Figures and stitching, and my goal was to get all of these letters down. But when I went from the C here, there are 2 colors. When I went from the C to the I bumped a row, and so it was 1 row down. And then I finished. I went this way with the pink, and then I had come back around and done the orange, and when I went to go to the C, that's when I caught it. So I had to rip out 220 stitches. It was heartbreaking. And so I needed a break from it, and so I ended up stitching just one full length of thread this way, one full length of thread this way, and then one full length where I did full crosses all the way down, just to try to get my stitch count back up. The one thing that's interesting about this is that I originally started it on a 20 count Aida, which I do not like. And I restarted it on this Lugana, which I love. And in here, there's a lot of white clouds. It kind of looks like modeling of the fabric, but it's actually like stitch. So you can see that moon and those clouds. But really, there are not very many colors in this. Like, she did an amazing job of picking colors and then using the same colors to create a really cohesive, but still like very interesting pattern. So I'm really excited for that one, and it's going to be one that I probably work on for a while. I do have the cards. The cards have a total of 28,947 stitches. The border has 10,774. So between the two of them, it's about 40,000 stitches. So that's something that I will be working on for a while. So in the fall, as I was starting to really watch FlossTube and Instagram, I learned about fall market. And I saw Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery Honeybee Sampler. I just love the bees. I love the sampler. I loved this. And so I started this on September 26th. I decided to use Lori Holt's 25 count Lugana in the color Parchment. So here's where I'm at. So to give you a comparison, this is quite a large piece. I'm only this little bit right here. And I'm doing this with a Weeks Dye Works whiskey. So I am doing 2 strands at a time and stitching it one stitch at a time, which I like to stitch using the sewing method and cross country usually. And so this is hard for me. So I bought a hoop. I normally stitch in hand, but this helps me slow down and it helps me, stitch one at a time. Because when I'm stitching in hand, it's just so natural to want to stitch cross country. So I'm doing this one and I'm kind of excited. So my initials are LM, which come next to each other in the alphabet. So when I get to the LM, I'm going to use a slightly different color. So I'll do it here and I'll do it here in this sampler to kind of mark it as mine. And then I think what I'm going to do is, like here in this corner, I'll stitch a little 26 or 27 or, whenever I finish this piece. That's what I'll do. Okay, so on October 4th, I fell in love with Autumn Lane Stitchery's Tonight We Ride, and it's actually Adelaide over at Adelaide Stitches. It's her fault because I saw hers and I saw her fabric. I fell in love with it and I said, I must do that. I must. So even though I did not have the time to do it, it was not part of my plans, I added it. And I'm doing this on a Bestitch Me fabric, 16 count, and the color is Jack-o'-lantern. So isn't this fabric gorgeous? Oh man, it is so pretty. It is so pretty. I love it, and I love how bright it is. So I decided, I like to start in the corner, but I was worried. And so I started center on this one, and I would like to save as much of this fabric as I can. So I just wanted to do a little bit to say I started. So it's right here. It's her broom. Right. Really, this is going to be something that I will work on next year. But as soon as I got the fabric, I just wanted to start out and I just want to stitch it. Like, Do you guys feel that way too? Do you want, like, immediately when you get something, you're like, I must start? And now I know why people have so many WIPs. And I think I might be one of those people who ends up with a lot of WIPs, partly because I have a tad bit of ADD and I want to start all the things. I want to do the things. I want the new things. So I guess I could tell you I only have 59 stitches in it, and it doesn't even register on this spreadsheet, so it's less than 1%. It still says 0. That's okay. So on October 18th, I started the 12 Days of Christmas Stockings by Annie Belcher. She's Annie B's folk art. I have to tell you, I love the 12 Days of Christmas. I've always loved it. I've stitched for my mom wool ornaments by MMM Crafts. I'll try to link it over in Etsy. They're embroidered, and then you build an ornament. And I do have plans to do that for myself. But when I saw these in Fall Market, I thought, oh my heavens, I must do those. So now I have the idea that I need to do an entire Christmas tree of 12 Days of Christmas ornaments. So I've been collecting these patterns, 12 Days of Christmas patterns. But I'm starting with these. And I love that they're cute little stockings. Oh, they're just so cute. So I did finish month 1. And it's partly because I joined the Semi-Sane Stitchers group on Facebook, and they have monthly challenges. And one of them is to do a calendar type item every month. And I just joined, and so most people would be on, like, month 10, but I'm on month 1, but that's okay. So I finished it. The only thing I've left to do is the Mill Hill beading, and I think a little bit of backstitch that I forgot. So I need to double check that, but there's beads here, and then there's beads on every single red that you see. I'm a little intimidated. I mean, not a little. I'm a lot intimidated. Here are the beads. Thank you to Facebook, because the pattern doesn't tell you what beads you are supposed to buy. They just say the color and the number, and luckily somebody online knew. But here are the beads. Cream and a red. They're tiny. I mean, they are so tiny. I don't even know how I'm going to hold this in my hand. I can just see myself dropping them, like, over and over and over again. I don't even know if I have a needle small enough to stitch these. I guess I'm going to have to look in my regular sewing needles, but I don't quilt by hand, and so I don't know. I'm scared to death. But I don't want to leave them until the end, because I think that could be really tedious, so I need to do them as I go. So, yeah. So I have one done out of the 12. It was 831 stitches. So my last project is a big project. If you're on FlossTube at all, then you know about Heaven and Earth Designs. You know about full coverage pieces. You know about these epic pieces that people are designing. And I have loved watching them. Like, absolutely loved watching them. And so, you go look. You go look and you see and you think, could I do that? Could I do that? Do I have 300,000 stitches in me? Yeah, I think I do. So I bought Paris of My Dreams. The artwork is by Leonid Avramov. I'm so sorry if I said that name wrong. And Michelle Sayeda did the chart design. It is 625 stitches by 492. So on a 25 count, 1/1, it is about 25 inches by 20 inches. Now, I have paintings just like this in my house. Not Paris, but this kind of bright, colorful. They are like the paint is coming off. This is my style. And I love Paris. I've been to Paris several times, and it is just a magical city. That's just what it's a little bit of my heart there. And I love it. My best friend, her 2 little girls, want to go to Paris really bad, and we've made the promise that when they get older, we will go and I will take them to Paris because I speak baby French, just enough to get by and just enough to not get in trouble, which is great. So this is my first time stitching 1/1, my first time on an easy grid count, and my first time doing tent stitches. So I'm doing 1/1 on 25 count, easy grid Lugana, using tent stitches. So here I am. I'll be done in no time. This is actually, let me look, 308 stitches. I haven't even hit 1%, which is so funny. I was surprised at how quickly this went, and I do have like waist threads here, but basically, if you follow the mommy stitcher, she kind of goes across the top in a typewriter method, but then also does cross country and comes down. So that's what I did. I chose a color, the first color, and I started going across, and I decided to just do like 2 squares if there was a lot of that color. And then if there wasn't, then I came down and picked up and did more. These are waist threads out here. This is a waist thread. These are waist threads. But I decided to go with the max color version. You know, why not? If you're going to go big, go big. It has 239 colors. That's super overwhelming. So what I did ended up doing is I chose the top 5, 3, 4, the top 6, but I didn't have one of the colors, so I had to go buy it. So I have it. I'm going to stitch on it today. But the top 6 colors in this top corner, so you can see they're all darks, 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 darks. And so I chose these colors. I'm going to stitch these colors on the first page and then set these aside because I cannot handle 239 colors on a floss drop. I also don't know if I want to use my master set. I might end up just using my master set, going to it, opening up the boxes, pulling out one thread. It just seems so cumbersome to me. So for now, I made all my floss drops, and I'm just going to pull out colors, stitch all of that on one page, put them back, and then choose the next 5 most common colors, stitch. So because it's on an easy grid, I can count, right? So if I get a color that's like over here on page 1, I can go find that because I'm like, oh, it's, 60 stitches down and 40 stitches over, and I can go find that because of the easy grid. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try that. I am doing tent stitch, which look at the back. Like, that's wild. It's so thick. But when I on some of these, I tried a regular half stitch, and it like went underneath the weave of the Lugana. And so then I had this big white gap, which was weird. So yeah, I'm starting if this was a regular cross stitch, I'm starting in the bottom right corner, going to the top left, and then I'm coming over to the next stitch to the left and coming over. And I've noticed that really helps the weave. I watched a couple videos, and that's what some people do. So I'm trying out what different people do. So if you have any tips, like if you are a full coverage queen, please let me know. I do want to do it tent stitch. I don't want to do full coverage, so it's 2/110. But yeah, so this is going to be something that I will probably work on for years. And then like a fool, I signed up for the 2026 Stitch Along or challenge, or I don't even know, with Heaven and Earth Designs. If you're doing it, I decided on the Firefly version. As soon as I get it in January, I'll show it to you guys. I have a goal to get my 6 pages done next year. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so those are all my WIPs. I know, a lot. I'll get better about not talking so much about each one of them, but since this is my first one, I thought I would, you know, be thorough. So I thought I would share with you some Stitchy games that I've been playing. So you can thank Jessie Marie Does Stuff for this because she shared her Great British Bake Off challenge, which I immediately fell in love with. So I decided to make my own sheets. So here's what I made. And then for each day, or for each episode, I have, 500 stitches if they get a handshake. I decided to do the number of contestants times 25 if they do last and technical. First and technical, they get 50. If they're limited, this is supposed to be 50, like daily 50 stitches. And if they get Star Baker, daily 100 stitches. So I've been playing this, and I cannot believe how many stitches I've had to do. It's been really good. I've gotten a lot of stitching done because of it. And so what I do is each week in this little notebook, I write down my WIP and then how many stitches I need to do, and I check it off when I'm done. And so you can see I've written in here, like I've handwritten in my stitches. Sometimes I go over, like, or I'm under a little bit, but I'm close. I do not do exact stitches because there's something in me that needs to finish a thread or a section. So that's what I do. And then I started watching The Amazing Race. Now, I haven't watched Amazing Race in years, but I started watching it because they're all Big Brother players. And I found Jessie Marie Does Stuff too late to join the Big Brother Stitchy game. And so when I saw The Amazing Race, I thought, oh, I can make a stitching game just like the Great British Bake Off game. So here's my game, and I want Kyland and Taylor to win. We'll see. On Great British Bake Off, I wanted Leslie to win because I have to vote for Leslie, right? I'm a Leslie. She's a Leslie. She did not. She was eliminated. So for the game, here's kind of my sheet, but I've had to adapt it a little bit because it had been so long since I watched Amazing Race. I'm keeping track of their countries that they go to so that it's in part of the game. And so what I do, and I've updated this, but I didn't print out new ones, is if they're the first to finish the detour, then N, which is the number of teams remaining, they get 10 stitches for each team remaining. If they're the first to finish the roadblock, they get 20 stitches. Now, lately, that's been the same team for both of those. So they're so far ahead. I don't know how anybody can catch up to them. And then I have Express Pass or Hazard, and I've changed that. I'll put in a picture of what it looks like, but it could be, sorry, I'm trying to pull up my new game. Okay, so the next time I do this, I'm just going to leave like a line here as a blank because every episode it's something different. So it could be an Express Pass, either used or received, because they receive them and then they save them, right? A hazard, a double U-turn or a U-turn, and a fast forward. That's what they've been using so far this season. So that's what I'm going to base this off of. And then I put on first to pit stop. I don't know what I was thinking. That really should be down here, first place. So I need to move that. So I'm going to get rid of that line. And then if they're eliminated, they get the number of countries they've been to by the end of the episode times 100 stitches a day. And then if it's first place, it's just a daily 100. So right now they're up to 4 countries. Oh, 5. I'm counting Germany. Even though they haven't done anything there, they got off the train, they got stuck, some of the teams had to spend the night. So I'm counting Germany. And so they've been to the Netherlands, Czech Republic, Hungary, and Croatia. So that's super fun. But I am unprepared for the number of stitches these are, and so I am definitely going to need to change this for next year, lower the number of stitches, because right now I'm still working on October 17th for Great British Bake Off and October 23rd for The Amazing Race. I'm so far. Like, Great British Bake Off this person won a lot that week, so it was 1,200 stitches. I think that person got first in technical, or they got a handshake and they won Star Baker. So I mean, it is just wild. So I'm this far behind. So at some point, I'm just going to need to just stop and call it quits. But since I started my Stitchy games, I have done 20,498 stitches. And the first episode of these aired September 5th. So in 2 months, just with these Stitchy games and nothing else, 20,498 stitches, and I'm behind. Like, it would be so much more if I was all caught up. So that's super exciting. So I'm going to keep playing Stitchy games. I have some ideas for next year for some of my favorite shows that I like to watch, but I'm definitely going to change the stitch counts and make them lower. I'm also a huge baseball fan, and so I stitched a lot this last week. Even though I just had surgery, I had to watch the World Series. So I would like sleep like 5 or 6 hours a day and then like get up and eat dinner and watch the World Series. And while the World Series was going, I was stitching. And I was so surprised at how much I was able to get done by stitching while watching something. So I'm debating about changing the Stitchy games from like what happens in the show to maybe stitching while I watch the show. I've also played around with some baseball stats and what that would look like. It's just, in baseball, they have like 4 or 5 games a week. That's a lot of stitching. And so I just need to think about how much time I can commit to it, because I also don't like that I'm behind in my Stitchy games. I don't like all of these unchecked things, because every week I just get a little bit further and further behind. So I also want to make it like fun for me and reasonable without feeling like I'm quitting. So November plans. Let's go through November plans. So in November plans, I am going to start Sayings of the Season Winter. Pull it out. Not on black Monoco. I'm going to do it on a black Lagana. So here it is. Oh, it's upside down. That's nice. Super cute. Super cute. So that's one plan. And then I signed up for the Jingle Ball. I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, a whole weekend of stitching. And it works out that it is the weekend before I go back to work. I'm out on medical leave for 6 weeks. I'm not supposed to be driving right now, but I did yesterday. My parents forgot their pills at my house, and so, because they've been with me for about 2 weeks, helping me recover. Oh, there's Athena. She finally woke up. And so I'll be home. Here's Athena. She decided to wake up. This is my puppy. She's not a puppy, but she's my baby. She is 10 years old. I named her Athena because I was teaching mythology. And she is a mix between a Yorkie, a Westie, and a Maltese. So yeah, she woke up from her nap. So I signed up for Jingle Ball, and I had wanted to sign up for a quilting retreat in St. George. I think the people who do Stitch West also do this retreat at Snug Harbor Crafts. And so I set my alarms and did not, just ignored my alarm. I was cross-stitching at the time. And so an hour after it opened, I panicked and I went in and I registered me and I registered my mom on the wish list. And so far we have not been contacted. It's really sad because it's in St. George. It's where my parents live, and it's in the summer. And anyway, I was really sad. So when I found out about Jingle Ball, man, I was on it. I was logged in. I had the screen up. I had been scoping out. I knew right where the kits were, the classes, everything. I was like, I am getting into the Jingle Ball. I'm doing it. So I had a strategy. There was one kit that I really, really wanted to do, and I was so worried that it was going to sell out that I went in, I registered for the ball, I bought that ticket, and I bought one other that I really, really wanted to do, and I checked out. I was done. I was not going to do it. I'm not going to do anything else. Well, so I was watching Lindy Stitches. I was watching Steph's live, and she's like, hey, there's still tickets for this. There's still tickets for this. There's still tickets for this. And I had thought, don't go overboard. Don't. 2 kits is fine. Well, it was like a half an hour in. I logged back into the site. The other 3 kits that I really wanted to do, that I was like, hey, I'll just buy the class and I'll just kit it myself. They still had tickets. Maybe was it an hour after? Anyway, it was a while. I waited. So I bought more tickets, more kits. So I kind of went a little overboard. So November, the plans are to work on these so that I can fully finish them in the classes. That's the goal. So the first one that I just had to have was Heartstring Sampleries Countdown to Christmas. Oh, an advent calendar. I love this. But what really got me, because I was just going to buy it, was that these wooden pieces are handmade by her husband from wood on their property in like Maine or something. I can't remember. She talked about it in a YouTube video she made. So here are the pieces that they cut and lasered. So one will go that way, one will go this way. I mean, I had to have these. I had to. So I'm a little nervous because 2 things. It is stitched on linen. I've never stitched on linen. I'm very nervous. I don't know what to do with these big bumps in it. And I mean, do I stitch over them? Won't my stitches then be different sizes? I don't know. I don't know. And then this one also has metallic thread in it. I'm a little nervous about that. So this is my priority. Oh, lovely box. I want to get this done first. The second class that I like rushed to sign up for was, which is so funny that I rushed because I did not need to, was the project bag from Primrose Cottage. So this Mary Stitchmas project bag. Love these. It came with, which I love that they included so much. It came with this pearl cotton, a bigger needle, but this Weeks Dye Works pearl cotton floss, which is great. Like, yeah. So, and there are other things that are coming in these kits that I'm not showing you, but so this was the second class that I really, really wanted. Well, I think last time I checked, they still had tickets for this class, and I think it's because Primrose Cottage is a shop, and so they have contacts, and they probably have been buying this bag and that floss, you know, for a long time to prep for it. So the next 3 that I really wanted to do that I went back and got later, let's see, it is the wreath from Robin Pickens. It came in this great bag. Then we have the perforated poinsettias. I really wanted to try this one. Yeah, this one doesn't come. It's from Hands On Design, so I'll try to put a picture up. But I've never used perforated paper. This feels so bizarre to me. I'm worried I'm going to break it. I'm terrified, actually. So, yay. So that's something new to learn. And it came with all this great finishing stuff. So, super excited for that. And then the last one was the Christmas snow globes from Hello from Liz Matthews. And I just thought they were super cute. And they were something that I could do and give. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to have snow globes for every season? And I subscribe to some cross stitch magazines, and they always have like monthly or seasonal, like little small designs. And so learning her technique of how she's going to get these to stand up and then it's something that I could use year round. And like in the summer, instead of a snow globe, maybe I have sand in there and like flowers for spring and leaves for fall, or, just something like that. So I was excited to get that. But let me tell you something funny. I'm watching Liz's YouTube video the other day where she goes through the entire kit for the snow globe class. And she's like, and you're going to get this piece of foam. This is not packaging. Don't throw it away. And I thought, oh, I threw that away. I thought it was packaging. I totally thought it was packaging. I thought it was like to cushion something. I don't know. Luckily, she has a YouTube or an Amazon storefront, and so I went and bought the foam for myself. And now, in a few days, it'll come from Amazon, and I'll get it. I can't believe I threw away that foam. I can't believe I threw away the foam. It was in this bag. It was in the bag, like the kit bag. I was so excited. I was unwrapping everything, and I went through everything, and I pulled out stuff, and I threw away. I threw away the foam. Oops. So, yeah. Don't do that if you got the kit and you haven't gone through it yet. Don't throw away the foam. So those are my November plans. I'm going to finish my Stitchy games. I'm going to work on these, on Jingle Ball especially. And then this Sayings of the Season, winter will be my new start. Oh, I never did say. So it says Walking in a Winter Wonderland. Oh, I love it. So those are my plans. Some of these things I'm going to sort of put away for a little while. I do plan on doing a November FlossTube, and at the end of the year I'll do a December, and I'll talk about my 2026 plans and do another WIP parade and give you updates for all of that. So thanks for joining me. I'm sorry this was so long, and I hope you have a great week, a great November, and some great stitching days. Bye.